In this lesson, we're going to take a look at some of the developer tools that you can use to help you create HTML5 content. The first example we're going to look at is Adobe Dreamweaver. If you haven't got it already, then you can download a trial version for 30 days. Go to the adobe.com website and click on the Downloads tab. And you can download Adobe Dreamweaver CS 5.5. This has full support for HTML5 and for CSS3. So I have it on my machine. I'll just take you to the window now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new HTML document. So I'll create a new HTML document here. And I'm going to illustrate the features that it supports in HTML5 and CSS3. So we have a simple document, and in the body, I'm going to show you how to create some HTML5 content. So for example, HTML5 has a video tag. And as you can see, with Dreamweaver, you get full IntelliSense support. So it'll tell you all the options available, all the attributes you can set on video. For example, you can say which video file you want to play. You can set up other attributes as well. For example, when you load the video, you might want it to play automatically. So you can set the autoplay property, like so. So Dreamweaver has full support for HTML5 elements, and also has support for CSS3 styles. So I'll show you that. I'm going to go into the head section at the top here, and I'll define a new style sheet rule. And the style sheet rule, I'll target video elements. And in CSS3, there are various new styles that you can set. For example, you can set a box shadow to give you drop shadows on your elements. So as you can see, we have IntelliSense support for that as well. So box shadow, I'm going to give myself a 10 pixel horizontal shadow and a 10 pixel vertical shadow, and I'll make it orange. And that's the end of my style. So Dreamweaver gives you full support for the HTML5 elements, and you have full support for styles on those elements. There are some free products you can use as well for HTML5. My favorite at the moment is a tool called Komodo Edit. I'll show you where you can download that from. So back into the browser. If you go into activestate.com, you can download Komodo Edit IDE from there. It's free, and it has quite good support for HTML5 and CSS3, plus a whole range of other scripting languages, JavaScript, Perl, Python, and so on. So it's a general purpose editor. So I've downloaded that one on my machine as well. I'll take you to that one here. In Komodo Edit, I'm going to create a new HTML5 document. So File, New, File from Template, and I'll put it in the Video Brain starter folder. There you go. And I'll call this hello world.html. So inside the body tag here, again, it has full support for HTML5 features. So we'll say video, and I'll set the source property to be a video, and I'll set the autoplay property to be autoplay, like so. Okay, so we have full support for IntelliSense on HTML5 elements, and we also have support for CSS3 styles. So I'll add a style sheet element in the head. And the style sheet rule will target video elements. And on the video elements, it'll set the box shadow again, like we did earlier using Dreamweaver. Okay, so again, you can see we have support for IntelliSense coming in here with Komodo Edit. So I like Komodo Edit. It's free. You don't need to pay anything. It's quite a nice tool. You get IntelliSense, and I use that a lot. I also do a lot of .NET development using Visual Studio, and I have Visual Studio 2010 installed on my machine. And Visual Studio lets you create web applications, and the web applications now support HTML5. So to illustrate that, I'm going to create a new web app, File, New, Project. The project is going to be an ASP.NET MVC3 web application. MVC is Model View Controller. It separates the user interface from the logic that handles postbacks to the server. So I'll put that into my Video Brain starter folder as well, and I'll call it MVC application 1. I'll click OK. gives you the option of creating an application that has very little content, or an application that's designed for the internet, where the user can log on via forms authentication, and an application that's designed for internal use within an intranet, where the user might have a Windows login ID already. So I'll create an internet application, and we'll use HTML5 markup here. Just as an aside, with MVC these days, you get the option of either writing pure ASP.NET pages or a new markup engine called Razor, and Razor seems to be quite the popular way of doing it these days, so I'll leave that as it stands, and I'll click OK. So while the project is being created, it creates a controller class which handles postbacks to the server, and each postback is handled in a view, and we have a folder here called home and a file called index.cshtml. Effectively, this is the home page for my web application. So if I open it here, this allows me to type in HTML. So as you can see here in the HTML list, there are various different versions of HTML that you can decide to support. So if we select HTML5, then again, we have full support for HTML5 markup tags. So for example, video. Okay, so HTML5 is maturing quite quickly. Lots of different platforms available, whether you want a free platform such as Komodo Edit. If you're doing .NET development, then obviously Visual Studio has support for that already. If you're doing pure client-side content, then a tool like Dreamweaver might be more appropriate. Other opportunities exist as well. For example, if you're a Java developer, there are Eclipse plugins for HTML5 these days that give you similar capabilities to what we've just seen.